What's up everybody, and thank you for joining me for another video. My name is Wak4863, but you can call me Wak. This is episode 2 of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Conan Exiles, and if you followed along with the last guide, you're ready for the next step. In this next step, you're really going to start putting down roots and starting your base on Noob River. I highly recommend building on Noob River at first, and then once you've progressed a little bit and leveled up your character, you can move farther north or have multiple base locations around the map. The first thing that we're going to look at today is the Knowledge tab. The Knowledge tab contains most of the learnable items in the game, and you're going to spend knowledge points in order to unlock them. You gain knowledge points by leveling up your character, so the higher level character you are, the more knowledge points you have. Now, this way of gaining knowledge points will not give you enough knowledge points to unlock everything that is available in the knowledge section. However, there are fragments of power that you can obtain and use once you're max level 60 in order to gain more knowledge points, and I'll cover that in a future video. Right now, it's important to unlock two main things. You want to do the Apprentice Mason, and then you want to do the Primitive Cook. Those two things are very important when you're starting out so that you can make a basic structure and you can cook your food. It is very easy early on to get lost in these tabs, just looking at everything that is available throughout your gameplay. I highly recommend jumping in and out of this to make sure that you are keeping yourself fed and hydrated. Additionally, you'll see that some items are locked. These are going to require you to be a certain level before you can unlock it. That information is on the right hand side here. You can see it requires me to be level 20 and to have learned another recipe before I can unlock stone brick foundations. So if you're looking at a specific item and you want to know how you unlock that, it will tell you that information up here. There's also a list below that that tells you what exactly you're going to unlock when you learn that particular item. So we have our bedroll placed, we have our weapons and our tools, and we're going to head over the side here. Now Conan Exiles does have climbing, so if you press spacebar when you walk up to a wall, it will allow you to climb that. Additionally, you can drop over the edge and hold space in order to grab a hold and slide down. So now what you want to do is just start harvesting resources. You want a bunch of stone and a bunch of wood to get you started building your base. I'm going to build my base right here. However, you may want to look around and see what location you want to build. While we're talking about resources and you're gathering resources, Conan Exiles employs a system where using different tools on different resources give you different effects. For example, if I hit a tree with a pick, I'm going to get bark instead of getting the branches and the wood. Later on, once you have a higher level pick, it'll actually also give you resin. And even if you're using the incorrect tool on certain resources, it may destroy it and not give you any resources. So keep that in mind while you're farming. Not all enemies will be aggravated at first sight. As you can see, these baby shalebacks here are just going to ignore me entirely. They will only react if I do something to challenge them or aggravate them. However, there are enemy shalebacks that will challenge you right away. So this guy is non-aggro. You can tell by his green color that he will not aggro you unless you do something to annoy him. However, there are reddish color shalebacks like the one in front of me here, which will aggro against you right away. So on sight, they are going to try to come to attack you. And when I attack him back, if I'm in the area of another green shaleback like this one here, that one will actually be aggroed by my aggression towards this one. You can see they're both aggravated by this crocodile, and there are different hate lists in the game that can actually help you progress and get resources early on because they will kill each other, as you can see here. Just make sure that you are careful around them, and then you can reap the reward of their interaction. So we'll chop both of these guys up, and you can see I'm getting some really good resources out of those guys. We've got some meat that we can cook, and I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. While you're out gathering resources for your base, it's very important that you look for items like this. This is aloe, and this is going to allow you to craft potions in your crafting menu. The two items that are going to heal you early on are right here. That's going to be the rough wraps, and those require 10 plant fiber. These craft into 3 wraps for every one that you do. Additionally, the aloe is going to cost you 3 aloe leaves, and that's going to craft into 1 potion for each aloe leaf. It's very important that you keep these on you at all times so that you can heal up if you get into a fight. I also recommend removing any raw flesh from your hotbar. You don't want to eat that. It will give you food poisoning. Now at this point in time, you're probably about to eat your last piece of meat that you picked up when you were on the broken highway. So we will want to craft the campfire, and that's crafted in your inventory and placed by selecting it from your hotbar, just like that. You will need to put fuel and then whatever food you want in that campfire. Click play, and that's going to cook your food. One of the nice things about Conan Exiles is that the benches will turn off once it's done processing whatever you gave it to process. So you don't have to worry about all your wood burning up because you are not there to turn it off. Now that we're over encumbered and ready to build, you need to build a construction hammer that's going to cost you 5 twine and 20 rope. Now you can craft the twine individually, or if you already have those resources in your inventory to make that item, it will make it and then make the item you're trying to make. So you can see it crafts the twine and then starts crafting the construction hammer. The construction hammer is where you're going to find all your building pieces, as well as where you're going to find a lot of the crafting stations and other things in game. Now, if you still have contextual controls on in your gameplay, you can see that on the left-hand side, we actually got another menu. That's for augmentation of the building piece. And then on the right-hand side, we have options for changing the style of piece, copying the piece, removing it, and then exiting building mode. So, like I said, it's very important to leave these two things on early game so that you can get an idea of every single thing that you can do with the different items you put in your hand. So for this, we're going to raise it up just a little, and I'm just placing the square foundation at this point in time. And now that I'm no longer encumbered, I can move a little bit faster. So you just want to get a decent size little base going right off the bat. We want to hit F and get some walls. And it's going to be very important that you get this up, especially down here on Noob River and early game, because you are going to end up at some point in time getting a sandstorm, and you will want to have the base fitted out so that you can get shelter. The sandstorm will kill you if it comes by and you don't have shelter, so getting your first base put together with a roof is very important. As you can see, I'm almost out of durability on my hatchet. I'm going to go ahead and let it break so that you can see what you need to do. So as long as you have the resources in your inventory for these items, you can just select the item again while it's in your hotbar, and that's going to repair the item. You can also go into your inventory at any point in time, select the item, and then click the repair button. And again, if you have the resources, it's going to repair that item. You do have to know the recipe for it, so if you happen to find a pick that is, say, iron before you've unlocked the iron level pick, you won't be able to repair it until you have that knowledge from the knowledge tab. Something else that's important to know about the building system for Conan Exiles is that it will despawn resources where you build. Not only where you built, but also in an area around your base. So this tree here, both of those on server restart, or when I load up my single player game again, those resources wouldn't be there. So make sure you harvest those prior to leaving the game so that you can get those resources. And then also think about that for what resources are in the area that you really want to farm on a regular basis. So you don't want to build right on top of, say, an aloe spawn or a high level resource spawn. Additionally, if you're playing on a server, it's frowned upon to build in a place that would stop a boss creature from spawning. Okay, now that we have our base all set up, we want to move our campfire inside. So if we hard press the interaction button, we can then move the placeable. Now this does have a range. You can't just run across the map moving a placeable, but as long as you're going a short distance, it will allow you to move that placeable. We can, at this point, either bring our bedroll down or craft a new bedroll for our base. For this, I'm just going to place a new bedroll, and you'll notice that this is a different style bedroll. This is one of the DLC items that I have acquired. If you see different style items in game from other players, it's likely that it's a DLC or from the Bazaar store. You can ask them in game where they got that item if it's something that you're looking for. The last thing that we're going to want to do for our base here, as you've been going out and getting resources and building, and if you ran into anything that you had to fight and kill, you have gained levels to this point. So you want to come to the Knowledge tab and unlock Box Maker so that you have some place to store your items. If you're ever wondering where something is built, you can highlight that item in the Knowledge tab and it'll tell you where it is crafted. This happens to be crafted with the construction hammer. So once you have the resources for that, we can go into decorations over here, and it's going to be under storage. It's the wooden box. And you can see the recipe requirements are on the right hand side there. So if you hover over whatever item you are trying to make, it will display the resources that you need in order to craft that item. So we've got a storage container where we can put the items in here that we're not going to need for our next journey. This is going to allow us to get a lot more done and bring back a lot more resources to continue building and expanding. And if you hold shift and click, you'll be able to quick move items into that inventory. If you're playing on a server, don't miss this next piece of information. You need to craft a repair hammer. Now, the repair hammer has multiple functions. One of those functions is repairing the building pieces for your base. The other function is to give you information about that building piece. So you can see it says repair simple wooden door. It tells you how much hit points that door has and what is required to repair it if it had taken any damage. And at the bottom there, you can see it says Decay's in and a blank space there. It's only blank because I'm playing on my solo game with Decay turned off. If you're playing on a server, it is going to show you an amount of time there. The amount of time is how long it will take your base to disappear. Conan Exiles employs the Decay system so that servers will not be cluttered up by bases that people are no longer using. So you want to make sure that you are logging in to refresh your Decay timer. The way Decay works is you have to physically touch the base location in order to reset that Decay timer. So if you have multiple bases around the map, you could end up losing one base that you haven't visited in a long time and retaining other bases that you have visited. So make sure you are visiting your base to keep the Decay from happening. The better materials that you build with and the larger the base, the higher the Decay timer is. Don't forget to continue to spend your attribute points and regularly come back to the knowledge section to see what else you've unlocked and spend those knowledge points here. That's it for this episode of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide. In the next episode, I'll cover some combat features that you should know for the engagements that you'll have in Conan Exiles. Don't forget to whack the like button on your way out and let me know in the comment section below if this guide helped you with your gameplay in Conan Exiles. I'd like to thank all my YouTube members for their continued support. Y'all are absolute legends. If you missed the first episode of my Ultimate Beginner's Guide, I'll put that on the screen right now. Click that video to check it out.